Welcome back to the Tapes Archive podcast, where we release interviews that have never been heard before. In this episode, we have one of the pioneers of rock and roll, the recently departed Little Richard. At the time of this interview in the year 2000, Richard was 67 years old and was promoting the TV movie based on his life called Little Richard. In the interview, Richard talks about why he wore makeup, if he considered himself gay, how he was the first African American to be on white radio, and how he discovered the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, and the Rolling Stones.
Ooh, I haven't done that in 30 years. I feel, oh my God. I felt good doing that. You all gonna make me scream like a white lady.
As always, we have music critic Mark Allen at the helm conducting the interview. If you'd like to support the show, please like, follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. There, we post other content and information not available on the podcast. If you'd like to read the transcripts for any of our episodes, please head over to our website at thetapesarchive.com. We'll jump into the interview after a quick word from our sponsors. The Tapes Archive is proud to be sponsored by the true crime documentary Dead Man's Line.
You've got 100 armed officers around here trying to get a shot at me. I dared them to shoot me. I didn't go down there to be a buffoon. I went down there for vengeance. And by God, I'll have vengeance.
In 1977, Tony Kuritzis kidnapped a mortgage broker and held him captive for 3 days. For the first time ever, the media was able to cover the event live. To some, Tony was a hero. To others, he was a crazed thug. Dead Man's Line, the true story of Tony Kuritzis.
This award-winning film is available exclusively on Amazon Prime. One last thing before we get to the interview, the Tapes Archive podcast is a proud member of Osiris Media, a global community connecting passionate fans with podcasts and experiences about artists and topics you love. Thanks for tuning in, and now it's time to open the vault.
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
It's way better, isn't it?
Yes, much better.
Yes.
Anyway, so what was it like to see somebody playing you?
It was kind of hard because I never pictured Leon to be the guy to play me because we didn't favor that much. But he does look a little, they made him look a little like me in my younger years. But he did a good job. I think he's a great actor.
Who do you picture playing you?
I pictured Prince.
Prince? Yeah. Did you approach him about that?
Well, no, he wanted it, but he wanted to put it off for a while. But I wanted him to do it now.
Were you in a rush for a particular reason?
No. You know, I'm 67 years old. I'll be 68 this year. And I just wanted him to go on and do it.
That would have been fun to see Prince do that.
Oh, yes, it would have been beautiful.
You think he could have done it well, I guess? Huh?
I don't think he would have done it no better than Leon. It just been a different type thing. He's a musician, you know?
Now that you mention it, without you, could there have been a Prince?
No, it would have.
No, it would not.
No.
You know, I thought it was an entertaining movie. I bet if they were showing the real Little Richard story, I mean, the real actual, if we followed your actual life, it would be, let's say, X-rated? Maybe R-rated at least?
Yes.
Yeah. So did it have to be toned down a lot?
Yes.
Are you disappointed in that?
No, I'm not.
Why is that? I mean,
No, I'm not. With the tone down?
Yeah.
No, I'm not disappointed because it's really room for another life story one day because it only went so far. And in certain parts that was in it that they didn't use, like the Beatles was in it, they had Paul and John in it, and they taken that out.
What is the story behind that?
No, just show how they was found. I discovered them.
Tell me about that incident. What happened when you discovered them? How did that happen?
Well, Brian Epstein's daddy had a lot of record shops, and he brought me to Liverpool, and he introduced me to the little boys. He had just got a group together, and Ringo had just came with them. And so I took them with me to Hamburg, Germany, to a club called the Star Club. And that's where we started getting together. And Mick Jagger had been traveling with me before them, but he wasn't famous. He was just opening my show for me.
Mick Jagger was?
Mick Jagger and Keith. They were just called the Rolling Stones. Yeah, Mick's name wasn't in front of nothing like that because they wasn't famous. And, you know, Jimi Hendrix was my guitarist. But I didn't know these people was going to be famous.
Right. You didn't recognize the star quality? Well, you must have recognized.
I recognized it in Jimmy, but the Beatles sound like four Everly Brothers to me. If you listen to them, that's what they sound like to me. And Mick Jagger was like Muddy Waters, a blues singer. He was not rock and roll. He was a blues singer.
Well, he grew up on blues, and they started as a blues band.
Yes. Well, to me, it's no such thing as rock and roll. Rhythm and blues had a baby, and somebody named it rock and roll.
Let me ask you a couple of things about that. They were kind of glossed over in the movie. The sexuality part of it. I mean, I realize that it's network TV and everything, but are you comfortable with the way that they portrayed your sexuality?
I wasn't really comfortable, but it's all right. I was young and wild. You understand me?
Yes.
At the time, my life is not like that today. I'm a Christian person, and my life is in Christ. But back in that time, I was young. I had a lot of girlfriends. You understand me? Mm-hmm. I was wild. I was young.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to. Well, let's just say it was vague about your sexuality. I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
When you see him in that scene with the two women on the bed and the character is wearing a bra, do you wince when you look at that?
Yeah, I didn't like that part at all. I didn't see the reason for Richard to have on no bra. To me, it was out of character.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
To me, it didn't fit. I didn't like that at all. I thought Robert Townsend didn't do that good right in there.
Yeah, you didn't wear a bra, did you?
Never have.
No, okay.
Never have in my life.
I didn't think.
Never have in my whole life.
Yeah. Now, I hate to ask this. I'm not going to ask it. To hell with it. Tell me about Tutti Frutti, because one thing that bothered me about the movie also was that I wanted to see you write a song. I wanted to see how Little Richard put together a song.
I wanted to see that too. I didn't have a lot of input in the movie. In fact, I didn't have any input in the movie. When I got to the out on the set, I think about 3 or 4 times I was touring when he was doing the movie. Yeah. You know that executive producer, that's title thing. You know how that is.
Right.
How
did Tutti Frutti come about?
Well, Tutti Frutti was Wop Babaloo. I had been doing it for years and years and years. That Wop Babaloo Babalop Bam Boom. Mm-hmm. And it was Tutti Frutti, Old Rudy, Good Booty, and, stuff like that,
Right.
But not the way they did it in the movie. It was a little different from that. If it don't fit, don't force it. I would say that. If you can grease and make it easy, I would do all that stuff like that.
You did do that or didn't do that?
I didn't do it on the stage, but that's where it was first written.
Oh, okay.
I never sung it out in the public.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, but did you ever sing? So you never sang that song in public until after it was recorded?
After I rewrote it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Dorothy, who actually did
Dorothy LeBoston, she gave me was the part that Dorothy brought in, which I got a gal named Sue. She knows what to do. You understand me?
Yes.
I had all the other part of the song there.
But the movie makes it seem like she basically wrote the lyrics.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
When you first wrote that song, what did anything particular... I mean, where does that come from? Because that's nobody ever did a song like that before.
No, well, being a kid in Georgia, they were singing, swinging. It was swinging straight. It was Sammy K. It was jazz. It was blues like Muddy Waters. But there wasn't no up-tempo stuff. And the kids, we want to dance. And our kids create their own dances, but the music don't fit.
Right.
And so I started writing stuff that would fit, what we felt for that time.
That just came to you?
That's right.
Wow. Did that feel very inspired to you when you did it?
Yes, it did.
And other songs that you wrote, is your writing process, is it very contemplative? Are you thinking constantly, or is it
yes.
like divine?
Well, I think of songs all the time.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I can sit at the piano and make up a song when I get ready. There's that type of thing.
So if you had to sit down and make up a song,
I could do it right now, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
Okay. There were obviously huge problems in your day of getting your music on white radio.
Yes, it was.
The way they do it in the movie is they again kind of glossed over. Tell me about that. It wasn't like you first heard Pat Boone doing your song.
Oh no, I never heard. Well, when I first heard Pat Boone singing my song, the record was out, but it wasn't on white radio stations. There was on black stations, and on stations like WLAC out of Nashville, Tennessee, that's heard all over the country. And Dot Records had Pat Boone to cover me because I was really hitting the white market. You understand me? And had no black artists like me hit to the whites like that at that time. They was really kind of trying to block it and stop it.
How did you eventually get on the white radio?
The record got so big they had to take me. And then when I came back with Long Tall Sally, I went on automatically.
Were you the first black artist to get on white radio?
I was the first black artist that be heard on white stations.
You know, and you grew up in the South, and
Macon, Georgia.
And this is a huge. I mean, the racial problems certainly still haven't gone away. But how did people take to that when they heard your music on white radio? They must have been ecstatic.
Well, that's the reason we started wearing the makeup, because they wasn't nobody intimidated with the makeup and the loud clothing and stuff when you come in. You know, they thought that you was after the white girls, which you wasn't.
Right.
You was going out to entertain and make a living. And they thought that you was trying to get women, and that it wasn't about that at all. You understand me? But when we wore the makeup and stuff, there wasn't nobody intimidated.
Why was that? Because they thought you were...
They thought that you was on a gay life or something.
Oh, okay.
And that you wouldn't bother nobody.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't that way at all.
They sort of make mention of Art Group and your contract, and they sort of suggest that Art Group may have taken advantage of you, but they also make it look like you did really well financially.
Art Group took advantage of me.
Art Group did.
That's the part that I didn't like that Robert Townsend did, so he didn't play it out enough for me. I like Leon in the movie better than I do Robert Townsend's thing, personally. You understand me? I think Leon is a great actor. He's a good actor. But I think Robert Townsend could have brought way more out than what he brought out.
The way you're describing it is exactly how I felt about it. It was entertaining and didn't have much of reality in it.
Yes.
So Art Group did steal your money.
What it is, he just didn't never... It wasn't that he stole, but he never did pay us the right money, the right royalties.
And that was one of those things where he made it clear that there was something strange with the contract, but then the only scene that you ever see where money is an issue, you bought your mother an enormous house.
Yes.
So it seems to say, well, Art Group may have taken advantage, but Little Richard made out okay.
I made out okay by traveling night and day all over this country and doing personal appearances. That's the average thing. That's where they make it okay by getting out there working like a dog. That's what I've done all of my, and I'm still doing it. I'm 67 years old. I'll be 68 this year, and I travel constantly.
Besides that, what's your life like now?
Well, I still travel all over the country constantly, and I enjoy it. I'm not complaining. I thank God for it. It keeps me young, and it keeps me active, and I love people, you know, of all races, creeds, and colors. I hope that everybody watched the movie on the 20th, February the 20th, and see the true architect of rock and roll.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that, but they're not going to really see the true... I mean, they're going to hear about the true architect of rock and roll, but they're not really going to see his story. Yeah. Now, what's going to happen? You said there's room for another movie. What do you think? Are you going to... Is somebody going to do it?
I want to see what the people say about this one. Then we'll do that.
You know what this reminded me of a lot? It reminded me of Great Balls of Fire. Did you see that movie? Because
with Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, again.
It didn't have everything in it.
Right, exactly. It's very glossed over a lot of the, I guess, the more lewd parts as well as the more interesting.
But I didn't mind the lewd parts being brought out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I thought they should have brought everything out. Because I think Jerry didn't want certain things brought out, but I didn't care. I want the truth, because the truth is going to be told anyway. You understand me?
Yes.
And the truth can stand the test of time.
You said that you had a lot of girlfriends. I see. That's kind of the movie seemed to imply that you were gay.
I think the movie implied that I was bisexual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like I told you, that thing with the bra, and I did not like that. When I saw that, I did not like that. Although the movie was done when I saw it, I wouldn't. If I was there when they did it, I would have stopped them. I didn't see no need for that.
Right, because that's not who you are.
No. I didn't see no need for that.
Is bisexual inaccurate?
When I was young, I think that I was into that. I'm not there now, but when I was young, that's where I was. I had beautiful girlfriends that I love, and I was attracted to women, and still am. Beautiful women can attract any man if he got any kind of feeling.
Did you ever get married?
Yes, I was married.
Okay.
My wife was named Ernestine Harvin, Harvin. I'm from Washington, D.C. I was married for many years.
And what happened? Did you get divorced, or she?
Yes, we did, but that was the movie. That was after this period that they did the movie.
And Lucille was a real person?
Yes, a girl.
Okay. And do you know what happened to her?
No.
You don't? Wow.
No,
okay,
I don't know where she went. Yeah. Oh, you mean the girl, Lucille?
Yeah,
they made that up.
Oh, there is no
It was
chorus.
made up, to fit the name of the records.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. Because I never remembered hearing.
Yeah, no, that was made up.
Oh.
Because the record is Lucille.
Right.
It fits. I like that. It fits good.
So when you wrote that song, was there a Lucille in mind? Or?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but her name wasn't Lucille?
No.
Can you tell me who it was, or what her name was?
Oh, no. I was thinking about a Lucille for real when I wrote the song. Yes.
Right. Oh, there was a real.
Yes.
Okay. No relationship like the relationship that we see in the movie.
It was a relationship with the girl, but they changed her name to Lucille. It was a relationship like that, but they just changed her name to that.
Okay. I see. What else about you or your life do you want me to tell people about?
Just let them know that I went through a lot to be where I am today. I was a disobedient child at my dad's house. My dad used to tie me in the bed and whoop me would tie my hand and my feet naked and whoop me with belts and things, and blood would be coming out of my back when I was a child.
Why would he do that?
Well, because he didn't like my actions. Because I was a singer and he wasn't used to that type thing. But he was a good man. He was not a bad man. But he just wanted me. Under his house, I had to follow those rules, and I wanted to be an entertainer.
And you're not angry about that, huh?
No, I'm not angry with it.
Wow. Did it? Have you always been that way about it, or has?
Yes, I forgave.
Did he die the way that they depict?
Yes, he did.
At least that. Well, that's realistic.
Yeah. Well, most of it is realistic. It's just only a few things in that are not. 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
Everything else is real.
But when it comes right down to it, there's another movie.
Yes. For later years.
Yes. For later.
That's for that time period.
Yeah, but I'd like to see him do the whole life.
Yes.
I'm guessing you would too.
Yes.
All right. Well, look, I really appreciate it.
And tell everybody I'd like for them to watch it back in Indiana. I love your basketball team. And I love Larry, the coach. I've always loved Larry when he was in Boston. You have my hometown boy there to make all those 3-pointers.
Uh-huh.
From out in California.
Reggie.
Yes. Yeah, his sister and all. They live not far from my mother before she passed. Tell everybody that see the living flame and to see history alive. You may be one of the few people I can ask, and I'm sure that you're glad to be alive at 67 and all that. But when you look at things like guys like Buddy Holly or people who died young, James Dean, like that, who became larger than life. Yeah. I mean, what do you think of that? I mean, I realize it's better to be a live person than a dead legend. Yeah. But you ever think about that? I mean, yes, I've thought about it. Yes, but that's the reason I wanted them to do this movie because most people they don't get a chance to see them. Don't get to see the movies. The movies, yeah. Yes. Right. That's right. Buddy Holly movie, long time after. Yeah, Buddy was a good friend of mine. Right. And tell everybody back there I'd like for them to watch it, and I appreciate it if they watch it. I will do that. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Tapes Archive podcast. Please remember you can always find more information about the show and the individual episodes at our website, thetapesarchive.com. Until next time, the vault is closed.